Big 12 Commissioner. This is from Brandon Marcello. Brett Yormark telling CBS Sports that he had great conversation with the league's athletic directors earlier today, and they were aligned on their preference, which is the 5 automatic qualifiers and 11 at-large model. Big 12 coaches will meet with Yormark on Thursday to discuss this plan further.
Yeah, this is the plan I would say that the Big 12 and the ACC should be supporting. I think that most coaches, actually, if you ask them, support this plan because it, you could get 6 as opposed to if you have 4 automatic qualifiers. And this is one of the things I would ask the Big 10 specifically about, because the SEC knows this. I would ask the Big 10 specifically about this. So if you have 4 automatic qualifiers and then you have to give 5 more away, that you are begrudgingly doing, where you're giving away 5 spots that, or at least, 3 spots that could go to you if you had this magical year. And with 18 teams, God in heaven knows how the schedule could align some years, and so I think that the 5 plus 11 is the one that's going to have the most steam. But again, if the SEC and Big 10 decide to do this automatic qualifier thing, I don't know how much there is everybody else can do about it other than shout until they decide not to do it.
I don't think any conference really knows what they're going to back. There's kind of a split between ADs, Craig, coaches, and others, even maybe the commissioners of a conference. But your thoughts about and this one here, 5 automatic qualifiers, the top 5 rated conference champions, and 11 free-for-all from 6 through 16.
Well, yeah, if you read Sankey and what he's had to say over the last few hours, then I think there is support for this. And amongst the coaches, the feeling is, according to him, that why wouldn't we like this? We stand to benefit greatly from it because we should have our cake and be able to eat it too without having to put it in writing that that's what we get automatically. And that's what has been the big point of contention, is that people are fine if you have a 12-team playoff and there's
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Pill, pour, blend, and enjoy. All within the comfort of my own home.
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Peel, blend, and enjoy. Fast and easy, and I'm out the door.
Six SEC teams that make it because they deserve it, but to sit there and say, well, 4 make it just because they play in the league is just absurd, and it's stupid, and people don't like it, and rightfully so. And if you're an SEC fan, if you're about that action, boss, which I think that they are, then I don't know what you're scared of. I don't know what you're worried about. So this, to me, could benefit them as much as anybody, just like every plan will benefit them. But this actually gets rid of all of the, hey, we're going to bake it into the cake and it's not even going to be a debate or anything like that. Like, dude, you're still going to get just as many, if not more, without trying to control the sport. And so I think this is maybe not the best plan for everybody. I haven't broken it down on each individual level, but I do think it's one that's rife with opportunity for everybody. It's a more even playing field, and it's not this absurd, let's just, take over half the playoff and then let's everybody else has to go earn it, but we just have to finish 4th in our league. I think there's something, to having the play-in games and all these other things, but the big dust-up was over the amount of automatic qualifiers. So I think this solves that problem, and there couldn't be any complaining about it because, hey, go win your conference you're in, and then everybody else, you got to fight to be one of the top teams, and you earn your way in. And that's all that anybody's asking for. That's all anybody's asking for, is just to at least make it appear as though you're earning your way in, not that you're just blessed to be in the playoff because you are the 5th best team in the league that crowns itself all the time. So that's a logical solution, and I think that everybody's calmed down from yesterday, and people are maybe realizing in the case of Greg Snakey that he didn't know what he was talking about in regards to the press releases, and that he wasn't correct in what he was saying, and maybe others realize that they can scale it back too, and everybody's got a more level head and has breathed a little bit after the weekend meetings, and now let's get back to business.
They also weren't just talking about him.
What do you mean?
Like when they say the good of college football, there's another guy who doesn't talk. Whose proposal that was.
All right, here's Greg Sankey, by the way, to Brett McMurphy earlier today, asked if he had heard from any of the other commissioners after his comments on Tuesday. No, they're probably as entertained as anyone else. we all have thick skins. Also, on top of that, a couple of reactions to yesterday's news and how what was said and who reacted to it. Jeff Schwartz, the SEC hasn't won a football championship in 2 seasons after winning 6 of the first 9 playoff years, and now the system is broken and needs fixing. Laugh my you-know-what off. Also, efficient lending with his thoughts. I just put up this yesterday, again, that the SEC, as powerful as they are, I don't get why they are still constantly like asking for something free because they're going to get it anyway. But from efficient lending, I'm confused. If every team in the SEC is so good, why do they need automatic bids? Count me as a diehard college football and basketball fan that has moved on. I will let my season tickets go, stop wasting my time and money on a horrendous fan experience. The hubris of the SEC is simply stunning. Now, I don't always believe it when somebody says, I'll never watch somebody again, because I think that's just like right the way you feel now. That's fine. But there's a couple of reactions on that from earlier today.
I mean, that's fine. That's just everybody's got an opinion. So I guess Mike does too. I don't know why it really matters any differently than others, but it's somebody that's out there that feels a certain type of way. So yay, guy that doesn't want to root for college sports anymore, I guess. That's his prerogative. And yeah, I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way as that. I'm not one of them. I do think that there's a lot of opinions floating around, and we can have more conversation about the 5 and 11 and all of that, but I don't really have much to say about his comments in particular.
Well, just going back to Sankey saying they have thick skin. Well, do you, Greg? I mean, he probably does.
That was a slight show of sense of humor, right?
I don't know. I mean, like I just read it.
I think so. I think it was. Yeah, I think it obviously
was.
was.
But I mean, maybe it was. But saying we all have thick skin the day after, you're like, don't talk about me that way.
I got a feeling he may have heard from people, maybe not Yormark or maybe not Phillips, but a few others.
Maybe
right?
he realized that he didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so maybe he realizes like, oh, maybe I went a little bit too hard because they didn't coordinate press releases. They were responding to an ESPN article, as it said in the ESPN article. The Big 12 issued this statement in response to ESPN's questions. Yep. He made it sound like they had organized a press release and they put it out simultaneously to attack him personally, and he acted like a baby. And so maybe, he realized, oh, wait, they didn't do what I said that they did, and maybe I wasn't fair to attack them both. I don't know. I think it's all water under the bridge now. Everybody got all, overmodulated the last couple of days with all the reports that were out there, and he realizes maybe he needs to calm down, and everybody else realizes that, there's still talking to be done. And the 5 and 11, I think that lightens the mood again because people realize they're not just going to ram through some, evil master plan that it feels like they're trying to do sometimes when you read these headlines. But I also will say, be careful what you wish for, because 5 and 11 could actually still benefit them more than anybody else. Because guess what, Big 12, you don't have a second guaranteed spot in this format. So, you would think 16, you're going to have one. Guess what? You wouldn't have had second one last year. So it would have been a bigger field, 4 more teams, and it still would have just been Arizona State in there. So, I mean, I like that they're backing off the auto qualifiers, but you got to also be mindful of that also means you're not guaranteed 2. Or in the case of the ACC, you're not guaranteed 2 either. Now, they would have been fine last year. They would have had Clemson and SMU, and I don't know where the third team would have been in the rankings.
Miami might have been right in that
I don't know
area.
where they were in the top 16 or what off the top of my head, but, I do think that backing away from just forcing through the original idea, which is never really the way that it happens. It always gets talked about and workshopped. And maybe this was actually their plan all along. I wouldn't put it past them to cause a big ruckus. Everybody flips out and they go, fine, we'll do 5 and 11. And then guess what? 1 Big 12 team gets in and maybe 2 ACC get in. And then guess who gets 6 or 7 teams in? They do. So I don't think they're ever not planning or working some concept. And so I'm leery of really anything. But, I said last week I was in more favor of the setup just because I thought 2 automatic qualifiers was ultimately kind of hard to pass up. And you are passing that up if they go to 5 and 11. So, again, be careful what you wish for.